finding the meaning in whatever we do. We have lots of tasks in our daily life at work. I have spent 2-3 months for the sake of applying the visa, collecting the information, lots of red tape to go through, and the difficulties that they have to go through. Each information I collect, the immigration asked me to make sure that it's authentic, so you have to have all of them basically notarized. They call it justice of peace. And you spend time, each of them gets signature, all that stuff. And over, so many mistakes because of the COVID situation. The mail was late, people make mistake, even the computer made mistake. Things don't get done. It's all necessary to do the task for the purpose. And I questioned that many times. Why do I have to go through this? But I know the reason. I found the reason. I affirmed the reason because I thought this is the way to go. For me to express myself and perhaps spend so much time in the US, but wanted to explore different new environment. I've been coming to New Zealand for 25 times, maybe more, and spending more and more time, and then I get more attracted to the nature and the people, surroundings. And as I age, I thought this is what I want to do. I have more friends here, so I thought I want to spend more time, especially in the COVID situation. So that's my background to go through the tasks that's necessary. So there's a meaning of what we do in task that we want to find. And that's the same message I shared in my work, visiting companies and meeting people and people, for them to figure out what they can do for themselves and for the company, for the customers, so that it makes sense. The beginning was to read the book in 1981-82 period. In such an experience when I found the people in GM worker laid off because he said he worked for 15 years, but in that time period, never once he was asked a suggestion. And that was the meaning for me to trigger from Japan to move to the US and start from scratch, basically, as if parachuting into the desert. And that's the meaning or the desire or the purpose. In that case, it was all meaningful because, well, also making money in the process if I'm successful. But more than that, there's a strong reason for work. And that's how I figured out. Picasso said something to compare me with Picasso, it's something odd, but when he found the meaning of painting, that put him into the course of becoming a great painter. I forgot exactly what he said, but he was talking about something about the emotion or the torture or difficulty in life that he found in the people. And he wanted to express that through work. And he said something like the painting is a light to bring out the truth. That's very much true. So whatever we do to bring out the truth, by the work or by the music or by surfing or diving or relationship, that is much more powerful than just doing for the sake of doing it. Especially at work where we spend so much time, we want to do that. But as in the case of my visa application, we can go through, we can endure, we can be very persistent because we have a dream to go forward. So it became a habit that whoever I see, not just work, I ask the question, why do you do what you do? At work, it's easy because I'm used to find the waste or some improvement ideas and organization and management and the flow of material and information. I'm a curious guy to ask those questions to see what they say because I want to know what's going on. And from that, I realize what can be done better. So it became a habit, basically for continuous improvement, to figure out the way to do something different and have meaning in doing so that we can progress. And the life, in principle, is like that, to reduce the waste and explore the potential. More we can reduce the waste and open up the time, we can do more things that we always wanted to do. So I often say manager's job is to eliminate the job. And everybody is the manager in his area of responsibility. So I call that as a mini company. Everybody should run the mini company to be the general manager of his area. And even to the point that I talk about the life, each person should be the master of his own destiny. So find the destiny with the passion. So I bring out the idea of ten-mei, which is basically the order from heaven that you find. It's the meaning of why we live. And unless we get there as a foundation and basic principle, we may just live life for the sake of living life, as if there's a task of doing this and doing that at work. Okay, that's fine. You get money and you watch TV and buy the sailboat or whatever the toy that you can play with, a big house with a pool and all that. But it's just kind of like a fake, unless there's a meaning behind it in doing so. If you do so because of someone said so, or marketing idea, the TV saying that you should buy this, and you believe that, and you live your life all for that, and then what happens, I don't know. Sometimes people die because of the cancer, or unfortunate things happen. Or you may be unfortunate enough that you have everything, but you don't know what the meaning of it. That's very sad to me. So I don't know if that was what went through in my mind, but I had that curiosity to figure out there's something out there to explore, and I never quit doing it, I guess. So I found this job working as a management consultant, helping companies, working with managers, the people across the board. I felt the mission in doing so. So it was not the task that I get bored. So the funny thing, over the 35 some years that I went through this, I guess I I may have a moment of question, why am I doing this? But I always came to the realization, I'm doing this for my mission, the ten-mei. The reason why I'm here is to help people and for me to guide or be the catalyst, because the idea is empowerment for people to take their own destiny in their hand. So I was trying to figure out, so many times the question was why people do what they do, and how can I make people to enlighten and figure out a way better so that they just do the job for the sake of doing the job, doing the task. Doing the task to live and doing the task to satisfy your desire from the TV and all the hypnotized announcement of what you're supposed to work or life. You do this, well, maybe work is a means for a better life. But if the work is the means and you don't find the meaning in work other than achieving something else, it's not as, how can I say, coherent. We won't have the meaning in whatever we do. And that's what I said at the beginning. That's the point. If you do something for the sake of something else, you are subservient to that thought, and you are not there. Therefore, something is not quite right. But you have to have the sense of coherence and identity, or put things together so that everything you do have a meaning, not at work only, but in everything we do. So you may say, I'm bored, what do I do? Well, that's an interesting point to think about, because if I'm bored, and this is the kind of thing I have to go through, like doing this visa application, and I get tired of this, it looks like a nonsense, but it's necessary for the sake of meeting the criteria. That's interest for the nation and for them to have the right people to come and approve the visa, right? So it's necessary. But we have to get to that core of our being when we get bored, like the paperwork and the tasks that we do. We need to find the reason of being, to say, this is necessary. I'm doing this for the purpose of this and that. And this is the right thing to do at this time. So what you do is not just for the sake of something else. What you do is in line to what we believe in. So the worth, the reason of the work, the task at hand is now more than just a task. Doing the task become important. So I think, was it Goethe who said that something like, you want to do what you like, but you learn to like what you do. It's pretty much the same thing, that you have the authenticity, the ideals embedded in whatever you do. Maybe just like the mother or father raising kids, and there are not that many mothers and fathers these days, unfortunately, but if they see kids crying and going crazy, you still have the compassion sense. There's something deeper to connect with them. Not raising kids become the task, but it is the meaning that you find in there. So in my case, going back to my work, I shared the same kind of idea over and over, but I wasn't tired. I kept on going. If I get tired, I generate the energy by looking back and figure out why I'm doing it. Maybe I did it unconsciously, or I start to find the joy of going through this, because if you can connect, and find the light in the tunnel, in the light in his eyes or their eyes, to be inspired to do things different. So there's a joy in whatever we can find that I believe start to penetrate into myself, because there was a good reason, and that's the reason for me to pursue my task, which became the job. And I wrote a book and videos and traveled many places, and I'm not that tired. There was a joy and experience, relationship, all came with it. So the point of this voice memo, finding the meaning in whatever we do. Let us figure this out. We may have some tasks to do. We may have nothing to do. We may be totally bored. let's stop and not let the mind go crazy, but observe the situation as it is at the moment. And have a calm and quiet mind, resilient mind, to seek through all the mess and the difficulty of paperwork or a nonsense job and figure out the passage to find the meaning. It could be a boring situation. It could be a necessary situation. You don't want to do it, but you have to do it. It may happen in the relationship, work, anything. The hardship or the boring ship or whatever that come at you, can we find the meaning to pass through that? I did the video and the webinar on the finding the destiny for the organization, for individuals, and find the way, the journey to be the master of our destiny. And that's the meaning connected to the destiny we are to find. Nobody's going to tell us. We have to go back to the basic. As much as we had so much fun and enjoyment, hopefully, when you are kids and exploring the world, we have the spirit to explore, because that's the meaning of life. To be creative, figuring out, or maybe compassionate with something to connect, and to find the meaning in that process. Then the whole life may have different aura or some dimension that come with it. And whenever you get lost, you revisit that. I want to have one more story on this. There's the mini company annual report I ask people to write. This is a supervisor in the warehouse in a small company. He told me that he write this annual report to summarize the mission and the customers and project, what they have done, examples and lessons learned, all that kind of stuff every year. And he said to me that when he's not happy or down, something not quite right, he go back to his office, close the door, and open up the annual report that's written for him and for his employees and the bosses to be shared, and look at that, the process of how he managed. There's up and down, things can go wrong, and then they may be showing on the KPI indicator. But looking back and reflecting on that, you see the whole picture of that existence summarized in the annual report of his mini company. That gives him the energy to revisit the core of what he does and understand the process is not that simple, but because of that, he can figure out and he find the joy and the inspiring feeling out of it. So whatever the case is, I hope we have that spirit as this person have at the time, as if also as I have continued to have the sense of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think that makes us stronger. And with that belief, I think we can go over the difficulties, and with the confidence that we can develop over time, that this is the way of my life, to have a meaning in whatever we do.